Adolf Hitler was born on April 20th, 1889 in the Ranshofen Inn. He had five siblings and his mother passed away at 47 because of breast cancer. Hitler was only at the age of 18 when the tragic event occurred. Adolf had been placed in the military for 4 years in World War I.
He thought Jews were in the way of his master race from rightfully ruling the world, and that was supposedly what started his hate for Jews. An aide Hitler had on the Nazi Party topic was Joseph Goebbels. He loved Hitler and followed him in everything. Joseph even killed himself the same way as Hitler did. He helped Hitler greatly gain popularity in a way.
To unify Germany, Hitler believes purification would have to take place. Hitler preaches to the people in his speeches that they should believe in their country and themselves. The German people are better than what they have become because of the impurities in society. 70 million people served in the armed forces during the war, and 17 million died.
So, like, what was a typical day during the war? Like, what did you do during the day? What
In
usually
combat?
happened? Yeah.
Well, very little sleep. And for our wiremen, hardly any sleep. We attacked when the regular people attacked, and then we were on call 24 hours a day to repair wire. Because the Germans would cut the wire, or tanks would go over the wire, or shrapnel would cut the wire. And Germans would tap in. And I could speak German. I was interpreter. And I questioned the German prisoners. And they made me question the younger people, because they figured the older, the Germans had some 15-year-old guys in the army, 15, 16. So I would question them, but no, they were so scared that we were going to shoot them. They were shaking like that. And I could speak German. I told them, ich schieß nicht. I mean, I don't shoot, I won't shoot you. And then I would tell them about my relation in Germany, that I came from Germany, and all that kind of stuff. They stopped getting shaky, and I gave them something to drink and eat, and I'd ask them questions, but they didn't know a damn thing. Nothing. They were left out of all the, they had no rank or anything, you know. And then I'd say, du weißt nicht, you don't know anything, do you? Ich weiß nicht, du bist ein Soldat, heißt es. Ja, ich bin ein Soldat, I'm a soldier. Wie dich, like I am and you are. And just a soldier, just a soldier with no rank or anything. I say, that's what they say, ich weiß nicht. And that's what he used to say every time I'd ask him a question. Ich weiß nicht, ich weiß nicht. So I let the guy go. And we captured, the 83rd Division captured over 20,000 prisoners by the division. And those was towards the end of the war. And those guys, we put them on Autobahn. Did you guys ever read about Autobahns? What they got in Germany? Hitler built Autobahns in Germany to move his army fast. 6-lane highways they were, with three on each side, three highways, three lanes on each side, and a big, wide boulevard in the middle. And in Germany, there's no speed limit when you're on the. You can go. I was going my Volkswagen. It's as fast as going 95 miles an hour. Those Mercedes-Benz were leaving me in the dust like there's nothing. They were going 120, 130. And you get 3 lanes. If you're in a lane and then a guy's in back of you and you don't get out of that lane, they'll bump you. They come up and bump you. Get on a different lane. Yeah? They still are like that in Germany. You want to drive in Germany? Yeah, and then they had, in the Battle of the Bulge, we saw something in the sky. We knew they had buzz bombs. There was a bomb it was a rocket. They invented those rockets. They were sending over ready to London, and they were landing in London. One rocket could take out a block. And when I landed in Scotland, I went through London, but with a subway underneath the ground, and they were bombing. London was vibrating. The subway's loaded with people, and we were riding, the trains would shake like that, but we never got hurt. And then we got over to England, Germany, and that. We saw another thing that was with a big vapor trail. We thought, what kind of plane? What kind of got there? loops and stuff. That was the first jet that was invented. And this guy was chasing an American plane. He got the American plane. He could go, I don't know, our planes could go about 300 and some, they could go 600 and some. So we could see it with the vapor trail, them chasing American airplanes. And the only way we could get those jets was try to get them when they were on the ground or just taking off. And everybody they had spotters on that. And we got a couple of jets. But in Chicago Museum, there's a first jet. If you ever want to see a jet, there was their first jet. There was one then hanging up in the ceiling. They could really go. And the bombers and stuff, they would attack the bombers, and we could see them attacking the bombers. And we'd wait for bombs were starting to burn. We'd wait to see how many were going to jump out. We'd count the parachutes. We usually had 10 parachutes. We'd count them. Sometimes 1 or 2, some none. They killed everybody in there. Sometimes we get 8. Very seldom did we get 10 parachutes out of a bomber, because a couple of guys got wounded or killed. But they would get in between all the other planes, dive bomb, and pick on one, and down they'd go and fly away.
While in Europe, what was your position when you were in combat?
PFC, private first class, by choice. I don't want to send I was the youngest guy, and I didn't want to send anybody to combat. I'll take the orders. I could have been 3 times promoted, but I didn't take.
Some 70 nations took part in the conflict, and fighting took place on the continents of Africa, Asia, and Europe, as well as on the high seas.
It was the largest and most destructive conflict in history. The British lost 17,325 men, including 11,800 prisoners and 2,000 sailors. When everything was just beginning, works by Jewish writers were banned. On September 11, 1944, the first U.S. troops crossed into Germany, 1 month after Soviet troops crossed onto the eastern border. In August, the war in the Pacific ended soon after the U.S. dropped the atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing 120,000 civilians.
Japan formally surrendered on September 2nd. The initial plans proposed by the United States were harsh. The Morgenthau Plan of 1944 called for stripping Germany of the industrial resources required for war. The first industrial plan for Germany, signed in 1946, required the destruction of 1,500 manufacturing plants.
The purpose of this was to lower Germany's heavy industry output to roughly 50% of its 1938 level. By 1950, equipment had been removed from about 706 manufacturing plants, while steel production capacity had been reduced to 6,700,000 tons.
The destruction of Europe and the destruction of a significant portion of the United Kingdom's cities via aerial bombing would also ruin the reputation of the imperial nations in the eyes of their colonies. Because the League of Nations had failed to actively prevent the war in 1945, a new international alliance was considered and then created, the United Nations. The UN was also responsible for the initial recognition of the establishment of the modern state of Israel in 1948, in part as a response to the Holocaust.
World War II had appeared to pose an unprecedented threat to human civilization and give impetus to the renewal of Wilson's vision of an international organization to keep the peace. Organizing efforts were begun even while the war was on. In both domestic and foreign affairs, its consequences were far-reaching. It ended the Depression, brought millions of married women into the workforce, initiated sweeping changes in the lives of the nation's minority groups, and dramatically changed and expanded government's presence in American life.
The Western powers' worst fear was the poverty and hunger that would drive the Germans to communism.
The end of World War II is seen by many as marking the end of the United Kingdom's position as a global superpower and the catalyst for the emergence of the United States and the Soviet Union as the dominant powers in the world.